Welcome to the week 3 update of Cash or Crash. This is the challenge where I do a year-long business experiment in 2026 where I'm going to be starting one new business every single month and documenting the entire journey publicly. Now, each month of this challenge, I'll do a different type of business, some boring, some weird, some way outside the comfort zone with one clear goal. Did it make money? And this month we are building a Facebook marketplace reselling business. And this is the weekly recap from January 12th to January 18th, 2026. Now, I'm just going to preface this. Week 3 was a awesome week. We hit some massive milestones. And as always, I'm going to try to make these videos and these updates as concise as possible so that you can understand exactly what I'm doing, exactly how much time I'm spending, exactly how much money we're making, and what I'm learning throughout this entire experience. And so just buckle up your seatbelts. Let's get into it. But here's what really cool. We had our biggest win of the challenge this particular week. All right, so let's break down some of our top highlights. We sold 3 items this week. All right, and let's break these down. The first item that we sold was a baby bassinet. Now, this was an interesting one because early on in the challenge, this was something that myself and my team, aka ChatGPT, we had decided kind of baby accessories could be a good avenue. So I bought this baby bassinet for $30. Listed it for $90, ended up selling it for $75. Okay, now something that we'll talk about in just a little bit is why I'm taking things at a lower rate, how I'm pricing things, and stuff like that. But essentially, I got it for $30, ended up selling it for $75. That is a great return on my money and my time. The next thing that we did was I had bought these 4 bar stools at an auction the prior week, and we sold them. I bought 4 bar stools for it was $22 when you add the tax and stuff. It was $25. So bought 4 bar stools for $25. Found out that these were really nice bar stools. Ended up selling them for $230. All right, now I want to share something interesting about the pricing. Is I had listed all of these for $300 total. So someone negotiated with me and we ended up at $230. And you might be saying, well, why would you take $70 off? Couldn't you probably gotten it? And yes, I believe, and I had other interested buyers that I could have gotten that. But one, I like the person who I was communicating with. And number 2 is I needed to get these things out. This is a challenge. We got to move inventory fast. And so I'm focused on moving it quickly. The other thing was these bar stools were taking up a lot of space that I didn't have. And I didn't want them sitting in the garage for much longer. And I sure as heck didn't want them sitting in the house. So I wanted to move these and I wanted to move it quickly. So I accepted that deal. And that was our first 10x flip. Let's go. The third thing that we sold was our first of 18 kettlebells. All right, we made our first sale of the 18 kettlebells. And to be honest, we are getting a ton of interest on these kettlebells. So I expect to sell these out before the challenge is complete. But it also gave us some huge opportunities, which you'll learn about in just a little bit when we do the financial update. But let's just say this. Now that we've made some bigger sales, we can move on and really start continuing to move some inventory. So here's kind of the next section of how we're going to do these updates. It's going to be an education, like what I'm learning and my hypothesis so far. So one of the things that I'm really recognizing here is when you're doing this, you have to make the big decision of, do you want to go for speed or for price? And what I mean by that is some of these items that I have is I want to get rid of them fast. So I'm willing to take a lower deal than if I had more time. And a big factor for this is, one, I'm doing a challenge. I don't want to sit on inventory for a whole month. I need to get things and move. I'm going for fast flips, so I'm willing to take a lower price as long as it still makes financial sense for what my outcomes are, right? We're not going to just take money and lose money. But I don't have unlimited storage. I don't have unlimited time. And so if I can get something and I can try to flip it right away, I'm going to take the deal. Okay, I'm going to take the deal. If you had more storage, if you had more time, well, maybe you could sit on the inventory a little longer and really get the right deal. So you have to make a decision when you're doing this. Are you going for speed or are you going for price? Are you trying to get as much per item, which for some people is great, maybe sell a little bit less items, or are you trying to go for speed? Get things, flip things, and don't keep inventory for very long. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, but what I can say is that I'm doing this challenge. I'm going for speed. I'm trying to see, how does this work? Is this viable? What can we do better? The next thing that I've learned is having storage is the biggest hack in this. Now, if you go online, you watch any of these videos, and I'm starting to do some more research and learning more of the players in the space, but having storage is a huge advantage because you can do bigger items. You can hold inventory for longer. And that's something that I think is really interesting, right? Is if I was doing this as a main business, I would want to have a lot more storage because then I could buy anything that I think is a good deal. Now, you obviously have to be careful about cash flow. You don't want to just buy, and then just be stuck with all this inventory. But if you can take calculated risks on what could flip, what could sell at a higher profit than what you paid for it, and you have the space, you can afford to hold on to things longer, right? And I think that's something that's really, really interesting. And so I can't keep buying things because I have to wait until things get sold. The other thing that I'm recognizing is just based on the amount of time I'm spending doing this, is this could easily be a good side hustle. If you could just figure out your lane in what you want to resell, scout deals in the morning, make some pickups, do a day of pickups, and then sell them. You could do this in an hour a day, no problem, because that's about what time we're averaging right now. After 18 days, we're averaging about an hour a day. And a lot of it was on the earlier side where I was really just trying to learn what the heck's going on. But I think that my hypothesis for this week is that this is a very viable business. It could be done as a full-time thing. It can be done as a side thing. And it doesn't have to take a ton of time. It just depends on what are you trying to do. But if I were to boil it down and I were to think about this, if I could pick one lane, one or two lanes of things that I am having experience selling, or that sell, or that you can get access to, then what you do is you just kind of identify those. You look on Facebook Marketplace, find the deals, scout it 10, 20 minutes a day, 1 or 2 times a day. And then if you like something, you go pick it up, you buy it, and you list it. And you could just do this over and over and over again. And I think that could be a great opportunity, whether you're looking to make a couple $100 a month or tens of thousands of dollars per month. And I think obviously the more you do, the bigger items you do, the bigger flips you're going to have. All of these different things can really come into play here. So let's talk about the time update. All right. So how much time are we actually spending? Now, to be honest, this past week, I did not spend a ton of time on this. I have allocated up to 10 hours a week for this challenge, for this experiment. But my main business, Big Idea Bestseller, where we help people write books, that is taking a ton of my time as we start the year. Things are going well over there. And so we're really just, I didn't have a ton of time, and just the way the cookie crumbled this week. But here's how much time we spent. This past week, I spent 3 hours and 15 minutes. And the majority of that time was doing 3 things. It was doing the actual deals. It was communicating with interested sellers and messaging back and forth. And it was updating the listings. Now, when it comes to communicating with the interested sellers, one of the ways that I've already shortened time is I have pretty similar responses to anytime someone says, "Hey, is this available? Hey, is this still available?" I have a pretty much response. Yes, it's still available. I'm in this location. When can you pick it up? I'm trying to see if they're serious. And if they are, great. Then I'm following up 24 hours later, and I just continue to go and follow up until they say, no, we got something else, or until they say yes. Because people on Facebook Marketplace, they're kind of doing it and they're putting their phone away. So I want to make sure I'm staying top of mind, because then it's just like sales. You're going to be able to get some extra deals. And that's how I got quite a few amount of these deals. Updating the listings, that's just a quick thing to just make sure the listings are still active, to see if you need a price change, to change the photos, whatever you may do depending on what the kind of metrics have been showing me. And then the thing that I spent the most amount of time was actually doing the deals. And this was actually executing. So like for the bar stools, for example, these are 4 big bar stools. I had been storing them in my garage, and I had to carry them up the stairs. We have a staircase from the garage to the main floor, and I brought it up, and then I took those bar stools from the main floor, and I had to take each one out individually. I mean, these are nice, heavy 360 swivel chairs. Bring them out in front of the complex that we live in, because I don't want people coming directly to my door. So I had to bring them all out there, and that actually took a little bit of time and effort, and then actually helping them load up the bar stools or whatever into their car. So that was how I spent the majority of my time this week, which, funny enough, it was only 3 hours and 15 minutes, and we accomplished a lot. Let's talk about the numbers. So, and if you're enjoying this, by the way, let me know what you're enjoying most, what you want more of, what you want less of. My goal is obviously to do this for me, to learn, to experiment, but I also want to do it for you, to show you what's possible, to show you, is this something that's worth your time, your energy, your effort? And so the financial update, this is the numbers. This is the make or break it, right? So this particular week, our expenses were 0. We didn't buy any new inventory because our focus was on selling the existing inventory. And the prior week, we had spent a good amount of money in the auction, and so now we needed to start selling everything. So our expenses were 0, and that was pretty cool. Revenue, $335. We did 3 flips, and we made $335. Now, here's what's really, really amazing about this number here is there have been a few things that I found around my house that I just sold. So there was no expenses on those anyways. It was just like learning and just selling some things. All of these items were flips. $30 for $75, $25 for $230. And then the kettlebell, which we average about $23 each, I sold one for $30. And so right there, all of these are items that I've bought and flipped. We doubled, 10x, and made 30% or so on the first kettlebell that we sold. So that's really, really exciting. And now with the projected revenue, we still have 17 kettlebells that we get to sell. That's going to be about $600. I'll sell them from anywhere from $30 to $40-ish per kettlebell. And so that's really, really exciting. We got them for about $23 each. So my goal is to sell them for $30 to $40, and we'll live in that kind of profit range. So that's all expected revenue. Now here's what's really cool is after we sold the bar stools, we actually now are playing with house money. So everything that the kettlebell brings in from here on out is just house money and pure profit. That was really big because when we had spent the money getting the bar stools and all the kettlebells, then we were in the negative for a little bit, which is just typical when you're running a business. And then, so now the overall challenge here is this. The overall challenge is this. We have spent $530.75. We have made $560. That is a $29 profit after the first 18 days of the challenge with $600 in projected revenue. So now I want to do one more thing, and that's the hourly rate update. Like, really, is this worth your time? Let's assume we move all this product, and that's going to be $629.25. I've worked on this project so far for 17 hours and 45 minutes. That is about a $35 an hour rate. Okay, so that is kind of what you're looking at here. My goal for this month was trying to get it around that $40 to $50 because there was so much learning time versus actually doing time. And so, so far, about $35 an hour is the projected earnings just from what we've done. Not too shabby. Not too shabby for a couple extra hours of work. So my focus for week 4 is we're going to get back in the trenches, start scouting some deals. We're going to continue to educate and learn more about this. And then we're also going to continue to sell the current inventory. And that's it. That's the week 3 update. We're 18 days in. I'm having a blast. And I hope you are enjoying these as well. I'll see you next time for the week 4 update.